Okay, so it's another polynomial that we're going to solve for, it's set to 0 and we're solving it. So we're looking for the zeros, but it has a 4th degree. Okay, so one thing also I want to note is notice how it goes from the exponent of 4 to 2. That means there's going to be a missing term here, 0x cubed. So let's just not forget about that right at the beginning. Okay, now let's think about P and Q. The choices for P, okay, that's 24. So plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 4, plus or minus 6, plus or minus 8, plus or minus 12, and plus or minus 24. That is a lot of choices. Q, fortunately, is just plus or minus 1. So these are all our possible rational zeros. Okay, we'll try one. We'll see if it works. Pull off the coefficients 1, 0, -6, -8, and 24. We'll see what happens. 1 times 1, 0 and 1, 1 times 1, -5, -5, oops, -13, and I don't think this is going to work. No, I don't know what it is, but it's not. It's a no. It's a no. Okay. Let's try -1. Maybe that'll work. 1, 0, -6, -8, 24. 1, -1, -1, 1, -5, 5. And I don't think this is going to work either. Okay. Now, let's try 2. So this is sometimes the frustrating part. Usually 1 or -1 works. Okay, but for some reason, these polynomials, that's how they gave us. And it's like, no, we're not going to have 1 be an answer. Okay, let's try 2. 1 times 2, 2. 2 times 2 is 4. -2. -2 times 2 is -4. Okay, I'm liking the looks of this. -8 and -4 is -12. -24. Yay, that worked. Okay, now here's what we have to do. We've got one of the zeros. So yay, we know 2 is a 0. So what do we try next? Well, you've got now a -12, right? So what are the possibilities? What are the P's and the Q's? The P's are plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 4, plus or minus 6, and plus or minus 12. So it takes out the sum of like the 8 and the 24, right? Okay, and then for Q, it's plus or minus 1 again. Okay, so that's too surprising. The Q didn't change because remember, we're always dropping down that first coefficient. Okay, so these are our choices now for this polynomial. Well, this polynomial. Okay, now you might be saying, well, why are we doing that again? We didn't do that on the other problems. Well, remember, we had a 3rd degree polynomial or a quadratic polynomial after we divided on the last ones. But this time, see, we don't have 3 terms. We have 4 terms here. It is the polynomial x cubed plus 2x squared minus 2x minus 12. And we're trying to find out when that equals 0. But see, it doesn't factor, so that's a shame. And it's cubic, so we don't have any other choices but go back to P and Q. Okay, we are not going to try 1 and -1. And it's not because those didn't work on the last problems. It's because we already tried them. And if they didn't work in the original polynomial, they're not going to work now. We are going to try 2. And you might say, but we already know 2 is a 0. Yeah, but it could be there more than once. Okay, so we're going to try 2 again. Okay. And our goal is to get this to a quadratic. That's, what we're hoping for. Bring down the 1. 1 times 2. 2 and 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. -2 and 8 is 6. I like the looks of this. 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, so it did work. So yay. We don't list it twice. We can say it has a multiplicity of 2, but the factor x minus 2 appears twice in the polynomial. But the great thing is this is now a quadratic. So I have x squared plus 4x plus 6 equals 0. I don't believe that factors, which is a shame. Um, because what do you got? One and six? No. Two and three? No. So it doesn't factor. I wouldn't normally use the not quadratic formula. I normally would complete the square, but because I know students love the quadratic formula, I'll use the quadratic formula here. Okay, so I'm going to take this and solve using the quadratic formula. You have that written somewhere, but here it is. Here it is again. So the opposite of b plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. So negative 4 plus or minus square root of 16 minus 24 over 2, which is going to be negative 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 8. Okay, now I've got a negative, over 2. Now I've got a negative radical, so that's going to mean there's an I times the square root of 8, but 8 breaks down into 2 times 4, so that's going to be negative 4 plus or minus 2i square root 2 over 2. Oh my gosh, we're almost done. And then that simplifies because you're going to take out a 2. And those 2's are going to cancel. Whew, so what are all the zeros? Well, the zeros are 2. And you could say, by the way, there's a multiplicity of 2 here, but you know, I don't know that they want you to put that necessarily. And then you're going to have negative 2 plus I square root 2 and negative 2 minus I square root 2. Now, those are not real, but they're still zeros, so. Okay.